Alright, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. So I've been trying to do more videos suggested by you guys in the Discord server. Keep them coming, by the way, because I love looking through your suggestions, even if I don't feel like every suggestion is necessarily something I want to make a video about. But this is something that I found interesting because I have like 2,000 videos on this channel, but I'm sure somebody might be able to find where I had mentioned this on like a stream or a video or whatever. I remember at some point mentioning that they should make like a monster taming game like of Zelda. Because, you know, we cover monster taming games on the channel, and I always thought it would be cool to have a monster taming game where you're basically like fighting with Zelda monsters and stuff like that. And the YouTuber Bilsu Art actually has been, I guess, talking about this a lot on their channel and is planning to make a fan game called Link Dimension, which is Pokemon X Zelda in a Nintendo 64 sort of esque style. So we're going to go through their video, sort of talk about my own thoughts and stuff like that. And, you know, if I think there's a place for a fan game like that, and you know, what kind of cool ideas they can come up with and stuff like that. So we're just going to be going through it. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Leave me more videos like this. I always love to react to stuff. It's always fun. So I will leave their channel linked below. And yeah, let's dive in. I like the title screen. This is nice.
Link Dimension is my take on a Zelda and Pokemon crossover, but it's always been more than that to me. It's what I've been using for the last few years as an outlet for my imagination and creativity.
So for some context, and I'm not exactly an expert on this because I actually was introduced to this channel by the person who suggested this video. So this is the first video I've watched from this person. But what I think they've been doing over the past 2 years is like making sort of like, I guess you could say like Mr. Buddy-esque videos. Like, you know, old school Mr. Buddy used to make videos about these like hypothetical Pokemon regions. I think that's what this person's been doing, is making like videos about how this hypothetical Zelda X Pokemon game would play out and sort of like what would happen and stuff like that. There is, I've seen parts of this video before I started reacting to it, and there is something cool I want to show you guys in a second.
Pokemon Gold was the first handheld game I've ever played, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time was the first console game I ever played. Throughout time, they've stuck with me to my core, regardless if I moved on to other games and skipped over some of the titles.
Yeah, see, I can relate to this because Zelda and Pokemon were like the two biggest franchises I played growing up.
Creatures of Pokemon and the fantasy of Zelda are what I love about these two franchises the most. And in my project, I've attempted to show how well these two series can work together. Whether it's coming up with cute, silly...
This is what I want to show you guys. Look at some of these designs. Spydull. It's a bug. And it's based off the Skulltula. Like, that's dope. Spydull are often misunderstood. They use skulls as a protective shell, just like the Skulltulas, but doing so scares off potential friends and attracts foes. They like to swim from cave ceilings or tree branches. Like, that's dope.
Or
here's another one. Impidimp. I think this is like a... Is this supposed to be like a form? Because isn't this already a Pokemon? I think this is just a regional variant.
Cool Zelda Pokemon.
This is sick too.
We're introducing concepts where both of their mechanics are able to naturally mix with one another. And while showing off art, new concepts, and a story can be compelling, a lot of people who support me will ask the most common question I receive. Will The Legend of Zelda: Link Dimension ever be a game?
And this is a big thing, like, I see with a lot of channels that talk about, like, speculation about, like, what if this was a Pokemon region, or what if there was this type of game. It always, like, it's always great to hear about the ideas and stuff, but you really want that to actually happen. And, you know, who better to put something together like that than the people who have been making content about that type of speculation for years.
This is a very difficult question to receive. On one hand, I'm dissatisfied with myself, because is there really a point in the project if there is no game? But on the other hand, I'm flattered.
I would say, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit, but I would say yes, there is a point, because it's still fun to speculate. It's still fun to have ideas and just, you know, think about stuff like that. and even make, inspire developers to make monster taming games that, maybe aren't necessarily Pokemon X Zelda, but are Pokemon X Zelda in terms of inspiration. So there always is a point in stuff like that.
By the amount of desire I see for such a game to exist based on just what I've presented. Trust me when I say, I want Link Dimension to be a game probably more than anyone. But there's 3 main problems with a Link Dimension game existing. The first is the obvious legal hiccups that can occur when making a fan game. I don't want to go into it too much, but at the end of the day, this is an intellectual property owned by Nintendo. And that alone...
Yeah, and Nintendo is notoriously bad for striking people down.
...tells you what you need to know. Obviously fan games exist, but it's something to be cautious about. Number 2, I simply don't have enough free time to work on my channel, plus develop any sort of game on my own in an amount of time that would make people happy.
That's
fair. I
fair.
have some minor game dev experience, but...
Early Link Dimension concept, so we got some early footage here. Looks like they're gonna talk about this a little more, but it started out as like a 2D game.
Ask anyone who's ever made a game with a decently sized scope, and they'll tell you how much of your time you really have to put into it. And lastly,
the amount of time needed for game development's insane.
I worry that if I put a lot of work into something like developing a game, I really don't want it to be something that people just play and forget about. I don't want this to be something that some popular YouTubers play over a weekend and it gets some hype for maybe a month, then no one cares. I'm
gonna be honest with you guys, like that's like every game. It's hard to keep the hype going for games longer than the period in which they come out for. Some games, stand the test of time, but pretty much every game will have like that month where it's super popular, and then it like for its release, and then kind of like start to die off from there, I guess you could say. But despite that, like some games they still stick around with us even if we're not playing them 24/7.
I want it to have a lasting impression for anyone that ever plays it, just like the originals were to me. So that's what I'll do. I'll make it something you simply cannot ignore or forget. Something that won't get lost in the sea of Pokemon fan games. So starting in January of next year, I'll be
There really is a sea of Pokemon fan games. Like I've tried to dive into Pokemon fan games and I want to play more. There are so many, it's crazy. And I mean, it is a good thing because like, the more games there are, the more competition there is, the better the games become. But I can definitely understand the concern with not wanting your game to end up being, as he said, lost in the sea. Because, yeah, there are so many Pokemon fan games to the point where it's hard to differentiate some of them and recognize what's what.
Slowly solo developing Link Dimension into an N64 style aesthetic game. This is probably very unexpected to you. In fact, you might...
I like it, though. I love low poly. I wish more devs would just go for the low poly style, especially in the indie scene, rather than try to make it look realistic. But then, it's not going to compare to the current hardware that's out there, unless like the teams are huge and have massive budgets. I love low poly. I think low poly looks great.
I even hate the sound of that. Why would I want to make it look low poly and low resolution on purpose?
You could do like low poly with a high resolution, which, when the style when the style takes that into consideration, it does end up actually looking pretty good. There was a Unity asset pack that my cousin was using on a project game he was making, and I remember seeing like the low poly art and it looked freaking good.
Purpose. Well, it's the same reason why people still do pixel art. It's a charming stylistic choice.
Exactly.
But the N64 was able to use these limitations to great effect by still immersing you in their worlds through great storytelling, ambience, and mood. As stated, this is still going to be a very slow endeavor for myself. I had just told you I don't have the time, but what I meant was I don't have the time to work on something that doesn't drive my passion, and if I'm going to have to meet some sort of deadline. Just like Zelda and Pokemon, I want to grow through this process. There's going to be bumps down the road, but I want to fail, and I want to learn. But most importantly, I want to make something truly special and worth my time, as well as it being something that could really surprise you guys. I plan on making a second channel in January, where I'll be uploading devlogs of my journey.
We'll be following this second channel, and again, like I said, subscribe to them. They are linked below. Yeah, we'll be following its development. We cover monster taming games on this channel. That's our main thing. But fan games of Pokemon and that falls into monster taming. Obviously, I don't follow every fan game, but I do follow the ones that I think are really cool. And when I saw parts of this video, I was already hooked. So I've already been convinced. We're going to be following the second channel. We won't be like doing these types of reactions to every single video, obviously, but I will be keeping you guys up to date on any news regarding this fan game. There's this one. There's Pokemon Burning Colosseum. There's Dragonrod's Digital Tamers 2 and the Digimon story game they're working on. These are just certain fan games that are just, they need to be followed. Okay, they're big, and I think this is. I think this is there. I think this is one of those games that has the potential of going places, especially in the fan game community.
My main focus is realizing the art and concepts of Link Dimension on my main channel first. I want to primarily focus on the Pokemon, the characters, and the story, because without that, there's no basis for a game anyways.
Makes sense.
And I have one last thing I need to say. Maybe you're someone out there who makes ROM hacks or fan games, and you want to see something made sooner. You have my permission to make whatever you want from my project, whether you want to just make a simple ROM hack with my Pokemon, or try and fully realize it and my concepts. Then I say go for it. This project is just my interpretation of this idea, but it's ultimately for you guys to enjoy. Or maybe you want to be part of a team of passionate Link Dimension fans that are in my Discord who are already working on their own rendition of the project, which is honestly super wholesome to see. Maybe you have a D&D campaign and you want to use my art. The point I'm trying to make is this project and art is meant to be shared. I don't want to be the reason a game isn't made because people think I'm the only one allowed to have a hand in it. Heck, I would love to play something someone else made on the project.
I like the attitude of this person. I do find that a lot of fan game, not fan games specifically, like fan game, fan art, like a lot of fans of a lot of these fandoms, they feel like they own certain concepts that they come up with or that they made popular. And at the end of the day, Pokemon and Zelda are the ones that own anything to do with Pokemon and Zelda, right? Nintendo owns that stuff. But I do like that like they're willing to share their their passion and creativity for the project with their fans. Like, that's pretty cool.
So to fully answer the question, will Link Dimension ever be a game? I believe in some form it will be. I hope it does, whether it's the product of my own game dev journey or some passionate fans out there. So really, that's all I have for you today. I really didn't plan on making this video, but it's been in my mind for a couple of months, and it's a very important question to answer, so I don't have a guilty conscience of leading people on. Ultimately, my art channel is my main focus. And in fact, the following videos on my channel are going to be an everything you need to know about Link Dimension video, where I basically recap all the main features of the project, all the Pokemon, and something small but new. Then there will be my highly anticipated Forest Dungeon video. These will be the main
I like that little fairy Pokemon. That's awesome.
Videos from now on, and they'll be packed with content. And lastly, after that, I will have a dedicated Majora's Mask video. So I hope you guys will look forward to those videos, and truly thanks for all your support. I've never seen so much genuine kindness in my life, especially on a passion project, so thank you. I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I can't remember your name off the top of my head, but thank you to the person in our Discord server who shared this with me. I will be doing more videos based on what you guys share with me in the Discord as well. I think this is pretty cool. Pokemon and Zelda are two of the most iconic franchises, regardless of whether or not you like where a lot of people, okay, I'm going to say this, regardless of whether or not you like where both franchises have gone, some people, including myself, prefer the older style of 3D Zelda to the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom style. That's just a preference. But regardless of that, these are two big franchises that have had a massive lasting impression on their fan bases, and I love to see stuff like this. The fusion of the two projects I think would be pretty cool. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I think this is cool. Again, go subscribe to Bilsu Art. Show them some support. Tell them I sent you. And we will keep you guys up to date on any developments regarding this fan project on this channel. So make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.